All right, Larry Kruger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we go through the guys the Niners have met with prior to the upcoming NFL draft. And of that group, who I really like. Of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And go check out all of it's good. I mean, the pulled pork, the chicken, the house-made sausages, it's all fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them that Larry Kruger sent you. All right, the draft coming up on the 25th. The Niners have one first-round pick, one second, one third, three fourth-round picks, a fifth, two sixth, and they pick 251st in the seventh round to round out the draft. And they have visited with a number of players. Some there have been visits, some have been virtual interviews and phone conversations, some have been a private or semi-private workout. Some have just been reported interest that they've shown in certain players. They've had pro day visits. They've had met with different players at different events, at the College Gridiron Showcase, at the Senior Bowl, at the Hula Bowl, at the East West Shrine Bowl, at the Combine, at the local pro day. They've met with lots and lots and lots of players. So let's just go through the list I'm not going to name every single player they've met with because it's probably over 100, but we'll just go with different categories of players and who I really like of the guys that they've met with. So first, let's start with the visits, and they've met with about 25 guys as far as what they call visits. Of this group, there's a bunch of them I really like. I really like Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky. They met with him. They visited with him. Jacob Cowing, the wide receiver from Arizona, really, really like him. Michael Hall might be one of my favorite players in the entire draft, the Ohio State defensive lineman. I think there's a very good chance the Niners draft Hall, maybe even in the first round. Now, some people would say it's an overdraft, but to me, if you get a damn good football player, it doesn't really matter. And Michael Hall at 31, I think is viable. One of the guys they met with that I really love that's kind of a sleeper is Jamal Hill, a safety linebacker from Oregon. This kid started as a corner, and he just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, 225 pounds now, and he's really kind of a hybrid, strong safety, weak side linebacker, special teamer, but I love Jamal Hill. I love that coverage ability that he has. He's an athlete, long arms, big production. Really, really like him. And then Sione Vaki is another guy they've met with a couple of times. And Vaki's an Antioch kid. He's a running back trying to convert to safety. Is he a running back? Is he a safety? Is he a special teamer? The truth is he's all three. And I think that would be a nice pick for them in the mid rounds. So those are the guys that they've met with that I really like. Marshawn Nealand is another one from Western Michigan. I watched his tape a little bit last night. He's a productive player coming out of Western Michigan. So those are the players that they had individual visits with. And then as far as virtual visits or virtual interviews or phone conversations, in this group, the guy that I really like is Bo Limmer, the center from Arkansas, 6'5", 300 pounds, really good center. I mean, he's a tall center, but he's a really good football player. As far as private or semi-private workouts, they did have one with Vaki and Roger Rosengarten from Washington. I'm not the biggest Rosengarten fan, even though I think he's an effective player. I just think he's a little bit underpowered. They also met with Christian Haynes from UConn, the guard, and I really like Haynes. Haynes is very, very physical. Now, as far as guys that they've had reported interest in, this is another list of about 15 players. And of this group, I really like Isaac Garendo, who ran in the high 4.3s. Tony Pauline reported that they had interest in Garendo. To me, I see Garendo as he doesn't really play to the 4.3 speed, but he's very fast. And I think he could be a replacement for Kyle Juszczyk. Cooper DeJean, Chase Sr. reported that they have interest in Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean's a great football player. I mean, to me, he's a first-round pick at corner. And the other guy is Elijah Jones, the corner from Boston College. Really like Elijah Jones. I think He's got size. He's got length. I think he's the third or fourth round corner that they could show interest in over the draft weekend. Now, as far as pro days, they did go to Jamal Hill's pro day from the University of Oregon. They also went to Johnny Newton's pro day, the Illinois defensive tackle. According to Jordan Schultz, the Niners have shown interest in the man that is, some people call him Jerzon Newton. That's his real name, but a lot of people refer to him as Johnny Newton. Good football player for sure, and maybe their pick at 31. I could see that. As far as at the Senior Bowl, they met with four players, including Talieisi Fuaga, the offensive tackle from Oregon State. Fuaga is going to be a top 15 pick, but man, he's a beast. And in some ways, he might be the ideal draft pick if they could trade up and get that right tackle. Now, at the Hula Bowl, they met with a number of interesting players. And some of them are guys that might be undrafted free agents. Of this group, the guys that I really like are PJ Jules, the safety from the Southern Illinois Salukis. Very productive player for the Salukis and probably is going to go undrafted. Another guy that I really like is the center from the University of Houston, Jack Freeman. Freeman's all football all the time. I think that would be a fantastic undrafted free agent or a late pick, maybe a seventh round pick. At the East-West Shrine game, they met with two tight ends that I think are fantastic in Mason Klein from Furman, who's a seventh-round pick, and Isaac Rex from BYU. This is according to Steph Sanchez, who reported this. Rex had a monster freshman year where he had 12 touchdowns. Then he took his Mormon mission. His dad played football. I think he's kind of an underrated tight end. And Klein might be one of the real sleepers in the entire draft. Why? He's a mechanical engineering major. He's a former basketball player. He's got unbelievable athleticism. Really, really nice receiving tight end, about 6'7". And he's got 10.5-inch hands, and he was productive at Furman. So, and this guy also played baseball at Ferris State and basketball. So he's an all-around athlete. And to me, that is an absolute sleeper pick, both Isaac Rex and Mason Klein. They're probably going to be seventh-round picks. The other guy that they met with, according to Steph Sanchez at the East-West game, was Trey Taylor, who's, you don't see a lot of great players coming out of Air Force, but Trey Taylor is one of them. That's an interesting guy to keep your eye on for sure. Now, the Niners met with a bunch of guys at the Combine. And of this group, who stood out to me, I really like Gottlieb Ayadazi, the offensive tackle from Maryland. I think that he's kind of a sleeper player. Dejon Edwards, the running back from Georgia. Jonah Ellis is an outstanding pass rusher from the University of Utah. I think Javon Foster, if there was one offensive tackle that I would have interest in as far as value, I think Javon Foster in round 3 or 4 is probably the best tackle to get as far as value in this draft. They met with Frank Gore Jr., Frank's kid, who's, of course, Frank's on the Niners personnel staff. Cedric Gray, the linebacker from North Carolina, would be a plug-and-play guy who could step right in for Dre Greenlaw. Really like him. J.C. Latham from Alabama, I think, is maybe the best, power right tackle. They met with Xavier Legette. They met with DJ James, the corner from Auburn, who had the game-winning interception to beat the Cal Bears this year. One of my favorite players in the entire draft is Max Melton from Rutgers, who ran in the 4.3s. Super physical corner, great athletic bloodlines. I love Max Melton from Rutgers. He's probably going to be a second-round pick, but I love him, and they met with him. Amarius Mims from Georgia is, arguably the prototype at tackle. He might be the best prototype tackle when you're looking at his body. He's only had 8 career starts, but, man, there's a ton to like with Amarius Mims. Well, Malik Mustafa from Wake Forest, big-time hitter. They met with him at the Combine. Mustafa's a big hitter. I think he could be one of their picks. Darius Robinson, who was the practice player of the week for Missouri at the Senior Bowl. Really love Darius Robinson. I could see them picking him at 31. He can play inside, outside. He can be part of the NASCAR package. You could bulk him up. You could lean him out. I love Darius Robinson. Mason Smith was a 5-star recruit from LSU. Brad Graham reported that they met with him at the Combine. Javon Solomon, one of the most productive sack guys out of Troy. Really like Javon Solomon as an edge rusher coming off the edge, flying at the quarterback. Yeah, I think he led the nation in sacks this year. He's a really, really good football player. He's a little undersized for the Niners scheme, but man, this guy hunts quarterbacks like the best of them. Brian Thomas from LSU, they met at the combine. So as far as local pro days, a couple of guys that really stand out: Chigozie and Newsium, the former Cal Bear who transferred to Colorado State. Newsium showed up at the Niners local pro day, and he's nice. He's a big corner, long arms, smart kid. Doesn't have a lot of career interceptions, but man, if you're looking for a day 3 sleeper corner or maybe even an undrafted guy, Chigozie and Newsium to me was the best guy at their pro day by a wide margin. I thought he was easily the best player that I saw there. And then the other guy that I talked to that day was Austin Jones, the former Stanford running back, who's a little undersized, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield. Probably going to be an undrafted free agent. I could definitely see them winding up with him in at some point in their probably not as a draft pick, but as an undrafted free agent. And then Terrell Owens' kid, Tariq Owens, was also one of the guys that was at their local pro day. And believe it or not, he looked pretty good. He hasn't played a lot of football. Didn't even play at all really till sophomore year of high school. Didn't really get going until his senior year. So he's a late bloomer, but he's an interesting guy, and he's got size, and he's got some speed, and he's got some athleticism. He's got a lot of the traits that T.O. had. He's not T.O., but he might be a guy they invite to camp this summer. So there you go. There's a rundown of who the 49ers have met with, and of those guys who I think are really viable. A lot of interesting players, and you meet with players for different reasons. Sometimes you meet with players because you love them. Sometimes you meet with players because you got a question about them. Sometimes you meet with players because you want to clear up a medical issue or something. There's any number of reasons why teams meet with players, but those are the group of players the Niners met with leading into this draft. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. And now a word from our sponsor, Aura.
Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial.
And thanks to Aura for sponsoring the Krug Show. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.